What's the date today?
The 3rd.
The 3rd. We're here on March the 3rd, 2015, to hear some great impromptu speaking. In fact, we're going to hear from Emma Rennick first. And she's going to speak on the question, when we remember we are all mad, the mysteries disappear, and life stands explained. And that was by Mark Twain.
My name is Emma Rennick.
Hi, Emma.
I work in a preschool class, and I see lots of children interacting with each other, and there's one kid who stands out from the rest. His name's Joey, and for lack of a better word, he's a pain. He can't sit still on circle time. If you ask him to stand in line, he pushes the kid in front of him. If you ask him to sit at lunchtime, he throws his food across the table. When you ask him to clean it up, he just downright refuses. He just generally, he's got a lot of energy. But this kid also stands out in another way. He's one of the most creative kids I have ever met in my entire life. His mathematical skills are far beyond his peers, and if you can get him to stand still long enough, he will draw you a picture of way better than any other kid in the entire class. The issue is that in the school that I work in, they try and make Joey sit still. They try and make him stand in line. They try and make him eat his lunch in peace, when really, that's not Joey's personality, and that's not what he, as an individual, can do. And so rather than trying to contain Joey, perhaps we should be celebrating the traits that make Joey an individual. Maybe Joey's going to go off and be somebody somewhere who never has to sit still, but is making a contribution to the world. Maybe we should be celebrating the fact that he can't sit at circle time. Today we will look at the quote by Mark Twain. When we remember that we are all mad, the mysteries disappear, and life stands explained. We will look at how this relates to 3 different things. The first will be the story of the emperor's new clothes. The second will be the story of Galileo going against the church. And the third, we will look at all of us in this room and how crazy we are. Why does this matter to all of you? Because you're sitting in those seats right there. That school system that Joey's going through that doesn't necessarily celebrate his traits as an individual is the same system that all of you guys went through. Maybe at one point you had a teacher who told you there was one way to do something. Or you had a parent who said, why can't you be more like your older brother? Now, we're all going to look at ways in which we can celebrate ourselves as individuals and all those traits that we have that make us a little bit mad. The first point that we're going to look at today is the story of the emperor's new clothes. You're probably all familiar with it. 2 tailors come in, they tell the emperor that they've made him a beautiful suit, and that only people who are not worthy cannot see it. So, in fear of seeming not worthy, his assistants tell him, wow, it's beautiful. And then other people, in fear of seeming crazy, say, wow, your suit's so beautiful. And then he goes into a parade in public and a little kid points to him and says, why is that guy naked? So you know, maybe that kid in the crowd, maybe that was Joey, who was willing to seem a little bit crazy, but was the one who discovered that mystery of life that everyone else was too scared to try and question. Someone else who wasn't afraid to question the idea that the public held as the norm was Galileo Galilei. And he, along with Copernicus, told the clergy that, in fact, the earth rotated around the sun and not the other way around. He was put on house arrest for 6 years, which ultimately led to his death. However, he did not back down from the popular belief. He was willing to be seen as crazy by all the people who were around him. But you know what? Here we are today, and we know for a fact that the earth revolves around the sun. So there was Galileo making a discovery of life. The third thing we're going to look at today is how every person in this room is crazy. You're crazy, you're crazy, you're crazy. But you know what? I'm crazy too. So in elementary school, I was in a carpool. And I have this weird thing about myself where every single morning when I get up, I can remember my dream from the night before in extreme detail. Last night, I had a dream that my boyfriend put a banana on my head and tied me to a gorilla. Like, completely bizarre, and it was just, I don't know. But anyway, I would wake up every day, get in my carpool, and I would tell the kids in carpool about the dream that I had the night before, and eventually they said, "That's enough, Emma." And I never told my dreams ever again in that carpool. And you know what? Maybe they were squandering my creativity and my independence as a person, and maybe, you know what, maybe I would have been a more creative person for it. Not that I'm not creative, and I obviously didn't lose the ability. I can still tell people my dreams, and my parents, whenever I was home in high school, every morning when I would wake up, I would tell them, and they would let me tell them my dreams. And you know what? I want to be a teacher, and I hope that someday I can help kids celebrate their individual aspects that might make them all a little crazy. So, in summary, this quote by Mark Twain, that when we remember we are all mad, the mysteries disappear and life stands explained, can relate to the story of the emperor's new clothes, Galileo Galilei, and every person in this room. Perhaps Mark Twain was saying that it is Joey that would have called out the emperor. It's Joey that would have gone against the church, and it's Joey that is each and every one of us. Thank you.
Let's start over here by the window.
I think you did a great job.
Start with your name, please.
Hey everybody, I'm Hago.
Hi, Hagop.
I think you did a good job, and I think the story that you started with fit perfectly with the quote that you selected for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was very inviting, wasn't it? It drew us in, and it was appropriate. Yes, please. Improvement?
Start
with your name.
My name is Benjamin.
Hi, Benjamin.
So improvement is to keep doing the thing where you have this like set of 3 things at the start. So you talked about the story of this, story of this, story of this, and I really like the way you did that. And so my recommendation for improvement is to keep doing that.
Okay. Thank you.
Do you know what he means by that?
Setting up my speech before I
And
actually give it.
keeping the consistent structure,
Okay.
so that it's a parallelism, yeah. Let me give you some feedback. Loved you, and thank you for volunteering, being the first one, and you really
It feels good, just do it.
you hit it out of the park. I liked your beginning story, and I think we all can identify with being told to sit down and shut up and being a square, you know, person trying to fit in a round hole and that sort of thing. And your story of Joey was a good one. When you watch yourself tonight on YouTube, you'll see, and don't be so quick, everybody, to rush over the words of your quote. In particular, dwell on the word mad. Mad. Because that's what Twain was going for, you know. We're all mad, you know. Then it all becomes clear. Right? And because you said, we all see we're mad and clear. You know, we have to, pull it out of there. Loved your thesis preview. You told us you were going to do 3 things. You did the 3 things. Your 6th statement worked nicely. The emperor's got no clothes worked nicely. Galileo, good. And your 3rd story, the banana in your head or whatever, you're dreaming and that sort of thing was good. And I like the way you finished up and came to an end. What was the time?
5:33.
5:33. You could have gone a little bit longer. Wanted to be closer to 6 to 7, but overall you did a very fine job. Thank you. Okay, do we have another volunteer? Wait a minute, I need to get out my... No more volunteers?
I want to use my 3rd exam speech.
Well, tough. We're done with those. You can figure out during office hours if you want to.
Oh, okay, for sure.
try to do one or whatever under mutually agreeable time, or do extra credit. Okay, we need no volunteers. Okay, here we go. Oh, my hand came down on Glenn. Hey, Glenn, yeah.
I'm gonna start with evaluation.
Thank
Do you
you.
know third extent? During office hours, so I can perform it better.
Yeah, bring it with you then, but do I have an empty folder here, darn it? No, I don't, darn it. Glenn, what's your last name?
Isani?
What?
I-S-A-N-I.
With an I?
With an H.
With an H. There you are. Glenn, H-I-S. Okay, good. Glenn Hisani. Okay. Glenn, let me find you in this mess. Glenn. I see Rana, also known as Rona Barrett. Okay. Glenn. I see Benjamin. Oh, there you are. Way over there. Okay, I think today Glenn Hisani will speak an impromptu topic on the quote, "He has the right to criticize who has the heart to help," by Abraham Lincoln.
Hello everyone, my name is Glenn Isani.
Hi, Glenn.
So, you realize one thing about our society is that everybody likes to complain. We all complain about the small stuff, like, oh, the traffic is really bad in LA, the 405, or whatever. Or the government, they just can't do their job. They can't, they don't help me at all. Or even we complain about our classmates, we complain about our teacher, professors. But the thing is, we also realize one thing, that people complain that they don't do anything. Because action speaks louder than words. Like, talk is cheap. People can talk all the way, all about whatever they want. People can complain about everything, but then again, at the end of the day, if they don't do anything, it doesn't matter because it's merely words. So today I stand here to talk about a quote by Abraham Lincoln, that he has the right to criticize. Who has the right? Who has the heart to help to change? And to understand this quote better, I would like to talk about 3 things on how to criticize, on in what way to criticize. The first thing is that we have to understand the human nature of how the human works and how they react when they are criticized. And the second is you have to build a certain degree of trust, a certain degree of understanding with the other person that you want to criticize. And lastly, if you want to criticize, make sure that it is constructive criticism, because there's only a certain extent that criticism can be accepted positively from a person, and beyond that point, it's just negative criticism. Now let me go to my first point, that we first have to understand the nature of a human in terms of criticism. To be honest, a lot of people do not like to be criticized because they think they did well, they think that they did everything correctly. I personally, I used to not like being criticized because it sometimes brings a person down to a certain point. It sometimes makes you think that you're not, you're not worthy enough, you're not performing good enough. But then again, to understand how people are criticized in the first place is that you have to know that the criticism itself would help that person in the first place. If you just criticize just for the sake of it, if you criticize just because you don't like a person, that is not a good criticism. In fact, like the quote says, like if you want to help a person, then you do have the right to criticize someone. If you do not have the desire to help, if you do not have the desire to change a person, then why should you criticize in the first place? And then, human itself is that it's really hard for a person to change. I myself find it hard to change. A lot of times my dad tells me to do this, do that, and you have to be on time at certain times, because my dad is very, very big on being on time, and every time that I'm late for a little bit, he would be mad, and he always criticized me, like, you're not gonna be successful in life, because like, you're always late, you're always, like, and he always go on and on about this, and the fact is, I'm still late sometimes to events, I'm still late to classes even sometimes. It's really hard to change a person unless the person itself does not have the desire to change. It's not a good thing that I'm doing right now, being late to places, but I've been trying to change, but I haven't found the desire to change, not to be like always on time to certain places, unless there's something really compelling. But again, we have to understand the nature of a person, that if you can't, if that person itself does not have the desire to change, then you can't really change him. Whatever you say to him or her, whatever you complain or whatever, even how many people like talk to that person that he's doing something wrong, but if he himself does not realize that he's doing something wrong, then he would never change. And the second point that I want to talk about is that you have to establish a certain degree of trust with that person in order for you to be able to criticize. For example, if you're on the street and then you're driving and then someone just horns at you, criticize how you're driving, say like, oh, you're a bad driver, usually the response from the person is very negative. Like, a person does not like to be told what to do, especially by someone who they don't know. Back on the example on the street, that person is just someone random, and you don't know them. So if they criticize you, probably the other person will give you is very negative. And for someone to be able to criticize someone, you have to establish a certain degree of trust and friendship, probably. It's easier for a person to accept criticism by their friends, because they have developed a relationship that is very deep, and that person probably knows you better than anybody else. And when that happens, a person tends to accept the criticism because they know that they truly care about you. And that goes back to the quote again, that if you care about someone, then you have the right to criticize. Because when someone knows that the other person truly cares about you, the criticism becomes something positive. It becomes something that they are willing to accept, and maybe it would affect their desire to change. And my last point about criticism and who has the right to criticize is that a criticism has to be constructive. It has to be a constructive criticism. If you merely if you merely criticize someone just because you don't like them, then, like as I said before, it would just it would be a negative towards that person, and it's not going to be taken positively. Constructive criticism is basically a criticism that helps a person grow, helps a person do better in certain things. Again, maybe our parents a lot of times criticize us because they want us to grow, but also a lot of times they do not give us the correct way to criticize us, because a lot of times they criticize us while getting mad at us, and that is not a good approach to criticize someone. A good approach to criticize someone positively, a part of constructive criticism is, maybe sit down with them, talk with them peacefully, and like tell them what is the problem, and then tell them how they can fix it, and maybe that way they'll be able to criticize. So as I said before, we all like to complain, but maybe we should, care less about what other people we should care less about other people. We should care more about what we can change and what we can do to like change other people, so that our complaint is not merely talk, because talk is cheap. Thank you.
Thank you. Stay up there for your feedback.
Oh, right.
Glenn. We're over here.
I thought that your examples
Start
of
with
like,
your name,
hi
please.
Emma.
Hi, Emma.
I thought that your examples of like your dad or us and our parents, and you like related it to that, or when you were driving, I thought those were really good and helped me at least understand what the points you were making. I thought maybe if you created your speech based on those, that it probably could have been a little bit more effective, but I thought the concrete examples were good.
So personal examples seem to work for you, Emma. Thank you. Improvement?
Hi everyone, my name is Miriam.
Hi, Miriam.
I feel like you were really good in analyzing the quote, but an improvement that I'll say is to like you look a little, you didn't look confident up there, and you were a little nervous. So maybe work on that.
Yeah. Glenn. Hi. Well, Abe Lincoln. Can't go wrong with good old honest Abe, huh? He has the right to criticize. Who has the heart to help? Yeah. I was looking for a lot of analysis about the heart to help. I didn't see much of that, but you kind of got at that. As I've said to others, and I'll keep saying it until you listen, say the quote slower and let the meaning percolate down into your audience's ears and minds and everything else. You started with a story that everyone complains and bitches and that was fine. You gave us a preview and you wanted to talk about, you said, human nature, trust, and constructive criticism. That was your preview anyway. On human nature, you talked about the aspect of human nature that no one likes to be criticized. And I thought that was pretty good. I was wondering how you were going to return it back to your quote, and you did pretty nicely because you said, well, but if you're criticized and someone is coming in and helping you with the criticism, then the criticism seems to be okay. There are other aspects of human nature that, one needs to contemplate when you're deciding on a life's philosophy, like what is human nature, and what is human nature, and what are we, status-seeking, competitive animals, as some anthropologists believe, right? And so on that level, then the notion of this idea of criticism takes a different view, doesn't it? I like the story of, I like the way, by the way, and I love it if you can return to your quote in the middle or at the end of each of your stories or your sections. That's good. I like your reference to your dad. It reminds me, your dad criticizing you for being late. It reminds me of the old adage of the young immature man that thought his dad was full of beans, and then when he finally matures and grows up and says the old son of a gun sure learned a lot in a short period of time, and realizes his dad knew more than he realized he did, and he should have listened to him more. I don't know how the cliche actually goes, but you've heard that kind of thing, right? But father-son relationships are tricky, and you're probably being late, probably passively aggressively, just to piss him off sometimes, right? So that's another dynamic that's there. On your second point, you talked about, well, at least your preview was on trust, but I thought you didn't talk so much about trust, but talked a little bit more about the same point again. And I thought it was kind of a repeat of the second point, but correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know.
On friendship and
yeah.
they talk about friendship and how they're more comfortable.
They're more comfortable in that respect when you trust the person, yeah. On the third point, I thought it was good. It related to the second part of the quote about the heart to help and being constructive in terms of criticism. What was the time? Did he go over?
7:32.
Yeah, 7:32. And you need to watch your time. And you left off the summary, the conclusion, and the tieback. And you were wise to end and not go way over time because we've got a lot to get in these last few sessions. But you want to, sum up and come back to the beginning and come back to the tieback. So I've shown you and come back and finish on the quote. But overall, you did a nice job. Thank you. What was the time?
7:32.
I can volunteer.
Praise the Lord. Okay, rock and roll. You have your self-evaluation?
Oh yes.
What's your last name?
Billy Moria.
Bill.
Sorry.
Yeah. Bill Amoria?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you good with 4, 3, 2, 1?
Are you? I got misplaced last time. So are you giving the
So
time?
4 minutes means, or how he taught me to do it was 4 means you're at 3:15, so 4 minutes left.
Oh, 4 minutes.
3 minutes left, 2 minutes left, 1 minute left.
Okay, one piece of time. I'm sorry.
Those Apple telephones come in handy, don't they?
Oh, sorry. Yes, you do.
Okay, let me find you on here, Sam.
It could be Sam B. So
Sam B, not Sammy.
or Sam.
There's Sam I.
No, that's
That's someone else. We haven't seen him in a while. Maybe he passed on. Maybe he's gone to the big Sammy in the sky. Okay, can you step back a step? Either that or I'll... There we go. Okay, I'm looking for Sam B. Yeah. Well, gosh, they're all good. You picked 3 good quotes. And I'd like to hear you do every one of them, but
I can do every one of them.
okay, great. Okay. But I think today I'm in the mood to hear you do "You Must Be the Change You Wish to See in the World" by Mahatma Gandhi.
Hi, my name is Sam Billy Moria.
Hi, Sam.
Mahatma Gandhi was one of the greatest leaders in history as well as of the 20th century. He was a very simple man and he led by example. If he wanted people to be simple, he was simple himself. He eschewed all trappings of conformity. He eschewed everything, and therefore he led by example, and therefore this quote is very significant. If you want to change the world, you be the change you want to be. Now, why is this quote significant? This quote is significant because in the 20th century and rolling into the 21st century, we find people who have led their community, their country in the changes, and they themselves were the changes. Now, whether it was the evil empire of Hitler, whether it was the repressive regime of either Stalin or Mao Zedong, or even over here, Dr. Martin Luther King, he changed because he wanted the community to change. And that is why this quote is so significant. So today I'm going to say 3 things which are important to be the change you want to be. Number one is you have a vision. And vision is nothing but a picture of the future. Number two, have a mission. And mission is the work you do to fulfill your vision. It's the executionary part, and it's the hard part. And number three is have values. Values which are just sustained universally, and which you can also extol yourself and the people. Be the change you want to be. You must have a vision. A vision is nothing but a picture of the future. And this future has to be articulated very promptly to the people. You must tell them why you want the change and what the change is going to do to them. You must say that these changes are going to bring about the betterment of the people. And we have seen, for example, in the case of Martin Luther King. Now you know that on August 28, 1963, he made that memorable speech, "I have a dream." That speech was made on the steps of Lincoln Memorial, the greatest leader, considered to be one of the greatest leaders in American history. And the backdrop was there for freedom, for liberty, and for justice. Now what happens is when you are giving a vision, it has to be in parts, so that the people project themselves on the vision and make them their very own. He broke the speech into pieces, and he says that one day he hoped that all racial prejudice will be over. One day he said that I hope that people will not be judged by the color of the skin, but by the content of their character. One day he hoped that everything in the Constitution will be a promise to the people who were prejudiced. And standing there, he said that on the preamble of the Constitution, which secures justice and gives the blessings of liberty. And then he ends with a crescendo with this whole part and says, "Free at last, free at last, free at last." This resonated with the people, and it also resonated with the Congress, which passed the Civil Rights Act in 1964. Now, in order to make the vision, you must have a mission. And what is the mission? It is the work done that you do for the mission. It's the executionary part of the mission. And it is a very hard, long road, because it might take years, it might take decades, and it also involves very serious sacrifices. Sacrifices of emotion, sacrifices of physical, sacrifices that even may cost your life. But if you have a vision that brings over this, then you will know that the cause of the mission is good. And therefore, it just sets out the rule as how the work to be done. Now, for example, when the Civil Rights Act passed, there was still no African American voting in 1965. To the extent that it is known that in certain states, there was 0% of African American voting. So against the wishes of even Dr. Martin Luther King, 600 people started to walk from Selma to Montgomery to protest against this injustice. You know that in the first march that they were unsuccessful. They were met with police brutality. They were met with all sorts of things, and even a very famous person died. But then it came to the notice of Martin Luther King. And then he says that he wanted to be the change he wanted to see in the people. So he led the march himself. Next day, or the day after, 25,000 people marched. And this time, his march was successful, to the extent that within 5 months, the voting right was passed. Now we come to the third thing. For this to be successful, we must have values. Universal values, and then if you want to see the property of your community, if you want to see the community in a good image, you must have long universal values. So we have Dr. Martin Luther King, Mahatma Gandhi, Desmond Tutu, then even Nelson Mandela and Sun Suu Kyi of Myanmar. They were all people who were Nobel Prize winners and who changed, and he wanted the people, they wanted to see the change in the community. But they did it with some very simple non-violence value. There had to be non-violence. There was no violence because violence begets violence, and it was these values that brought about the changes. So today I have shown you 3 ways in which you can be the person you want to be and bring about the changes. It is also applicable in the business, but I have told you that what is applicable politically. One is have a vision. Number two is have a mission, that is the work you do to execute the vision. And number three is have a value. I do believe that there should be no doubt in your mind that to be the change you want to be, that you have to have these three things in order to bring out the change in the people. And then again, Mahatma Gandhi was a good example himself, for he himself was the change, what he wanted the people to be. Thank you.
Thank you. 650, perfect. Okay, we're somewhere over here.
Hi, I'm Kara.
Hi, Kara.
You really knew what you were talking about, and you had everything like well rehearsed in practice, and you definitely had a lot of good voice inflection, and like you like really emphasized the three values very well.
Improvement.
Hi, I'm Gabe.
Hi, Gabe.
I really liked your. I remember your first speech. You looked like you were like really stiff and like walking really, but like now you're like a lot more relaxed and your gestures are cool or good. I think the only improvement would be maybe like if you were to rehearse in front of a mirror a little bit more and be more like calmer movements. And again, it's already like improved like a lot. So that's that's the only improvement I would have.
Sam, I like your speech and your improvement. I like the way you said your topic. You must be the change you wish to see in the world. You said it slowly enough for people to get the meaning. You led me a little astray in your intro when you mentioned Hitler and Stalin and Mussolini. I thought you were going to use those as examples. You could have, but you didn't, and so that was interesting introduction. Your SIG statement was excellent. Your preview was fine. And I liked the way that you had the vision, the mission, and the values. You know, it was just boom, boom, boom. And I liked the way you reintroduced the quote at the end of each section to show its pertinence to what you were saying. So that was good. If I had to criticize you, I would say that you were a little heavy on Martin Luther King, and in competition, out in the real world, they like you to use, 3 different examples or bring in some others, and you did in your third example, you brought in Desmond Tutu, etc., but you still were in the civil rights realm, and you did tie back nicely to Mahatma Gandhi at the end, so that was good. I like the way you have a new style of speaking that's more emphatic, that's more, your vocal variety is much better. So you've improved significantly over the quarter. Thank you very much. Good job.
I'd like to volunteer.
Here, give me a moment. Okay.
Do you have a folder for the third extent yet, or should we not bring that up with the self-evaluation?
Just give me your self-evaluation. Caitlin Ray, let me find you on here.
Oh, perfect.
Four, three, two, one.
Carol Logan. It's not you. Why don't I see you in here? Am I overlooking it?
I am right here.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Let me focus you in. You can take a step forward. Okay. Interesting, yeah. Okay. I'm going to throw you a curveball just because you're so good. Today we're going to hear an impromptu from Caitlin Ray on the question, age does not protect you from love.
Wow.
But love, to some extent, protects you from age. Ooh. By Jean Moreau.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Ray.
Hi, Caitlin.
Hi, Caitlin.
I'm going to take you back to Mrs. Fortenberry's preschool class. I'm sure we would all agree that those were the good old days. We had the finger painting station, the baby doll station, and then, of course, the then despised, but now much missed afternoon nap time. Well, the house station, in which you could pretend to cook dinner for your imaginary family, was the site of my first encounter with love. Jeffrey McIntosh, the principal's son, kissed me behind the kitchen set. And so we're going to use this scandal, or at least it was considered such in the preschool world, as a springboard into exploring French actress and director Jean Moreau's quote that age does not protect you from love, but love, to some extent, protects you from age. Again, I'm going to examine the following quote. Age does not protect you from love, but love, to some extent, protects you from age. After carefully considering Miss Moreau's quote, I have concluded that it represents nothing more than superficial, romanticized nonsense about the supposed magical power of love. And I'll give you 3 examples that support why I disagree with Miss Moreau's statement. Number 1, songs by the rock band Nazareth and Tina Turner. Number 2, Sandra Bullock's post-divorce perspective. And finally, the inevitability of the aging process as demonstrated by a well-known lady in this classroom, Miss Kim Kardashian, and plastic surgery. So, the first point of disagreement with Miss Moreau's assertion has to do with the first portion. Age does not protect you from love. I do believe that love does confer some protection from love. I think all of us would agree people in their 40s and 50s look at love much differently than they did in their teens. And the rock band Nazareth, in their song Love Hurts, hits this point. They sing, love hurts, love scars, love wounds and mars, any heart not tough or strong enough to take a lot of pain, take a lot of pain. Love is like a cloud, holds lots of rain. Oh, love hurts. Likewise, Tina Turner drives home this point that we have all probably experienced in this classroom with 21 years on Earth and have our own scars from love. She sings in her anthem classic, What's Love Got to Do With It? What's love got to do with it? Got to do with it. What's love but a secondhand emotion? What's love got to do with it? Got to do with it. Who needs a heart when a heart can be broken? So, while age may not be a complete inoculation from love, it definitely confers protection. And I think what both of these singers are referencing is that a lot of love is happening in the United States that does not end in till death do us part, since our divorce rate in this country now hovers at about 50%. So thus stands my first point of disagreement with Ms. Moreau's assertion. Now, the second example that I will use in support of why I disagree with her is Sandra Bullock's post-divorce perspective. She was married to Jesse James for 5 years, and at the time of their divorce, she was in the process of adopting her now 5-year-old son, Lewis. And the marriage dissolved after he had had multiple affairs with other women. And she inevitably experienced a great deal of heartbreak and pain, and not only the dissolve of her marriage, but the reasons behind it as well. Yet, Miss Bullock stands as a living example today of how age can protect you from love. Her son is now 5 years old, and in an interview with Entertainment Weekly on November 29, 2013, she said, quote, "I'm exactly where I want to be now. You can't go backwards. If something should come along, great, but right now, he's all I need. He's 4 years old. 5 will be an even better age. If something should come along, great. But if not, I've got plenty to do. So she's clearly fulfilled in her role as mother and an actress pursuing her career goals. I guarantee you, Miss Bullock would, if she was able to meet with Miss Moreau, would assert her disagreement, because with age will undoubtedly come a higher level of discernment and protection in choosing a future husband and a father to her son. Now, the final example that I'll use to demonstrate my disagreement with Miss Moreau's quote has to do with the second portion of her statement. But love, to some extent, protects you from age. I find this portion particularly laughable because she's undoubtedly engaging in wishful thinking. While the feelings that love generates can be incredibly powerful, I simply do not believe that it can reverse the biological process that we will all one day face. I guess Miss Moreau believes that love is such a transcendent state of being that it will allow women's breasts to eternally defy the laws of physics, or not to allow older men to no longer need a little blue pill to get them through a moment of intimacy. And a perfect example of this is Kim Kardashian. Throughout her marriages and or relationships with Nick Cannon, Nick Lachey, Miles Austin, Chris Humphries, and most recently Kanye West, she undoubtedly experienced some feelings of love, yet throughout pursued a campaign of physical enhancement through every avenue possible, including plastic surgery. No one more so than Kim Kardashian understands the effects that age enacts on the physical body with or without love. I think if Miss Kardashian had a chance to talk to Miss Moreau today, she would tell her that if she wants to be protected from age, she should forget about love and instead find a good plastic surgeon. So, in summary, I have explored 3 examples that support why I disagree with Miss Moreau's statement that age does not protect you from love, but love to some extent protects you from age. Songs by Tina Turner and the band Nazareth, Sandra Bullock's post-divorce perspective, and finally, the inevitability of the biological aging process all support why this quote is flawed. There should be no doubt in this room that Miss Moreau's statement should be dismissed as romantic fluff. And while love happened to hit Jeffrey McIntosh and I at the ripe age of 4 years old, I do believe love and the years of experience that accompany it do serve as powerful armors against love, and that love, no matter how consuming, simply can't reverse or even hope to stagnate the aging process that we will all, unfortunately, be subjected to one day. Thank you.
$6.43? Is that correct?
Yep.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Glenn.
Hi, Glenn.
I like how you, instead of delving into the quotes, you disagree with the quotes, and I really like your example that are very relatable to our lives, like Kim Kardashian and what was it?
Nazareth, Tina Turner, yeah. Sandra Bullock. Improvement.
My name's Azra.
Hi, Azra.
You did amazing as always. The only improvement that I really like, I'm being very critical, is like looking down and your level of eye contact.
Okay, that's good. Looking down. Okay, good. Caitlin, let's talk. I gave you a quote that you could disagree with, and kind of a long one, kind of a mouthy one to handle, but I knew you could handle it, and so that was good. You started with a very cute story about being in kindergarten, and we could all relate to that. And Jeffrey Malmuth or something, what was he, Morton? McIntosh laid a lip lock on you, and you know, it was love at first kiss, and you haven't forgotten it, obviously, or his name. Made a big impression. You ran home and told your mother and father, of course. So that got our attention, so that worked, that was sticky. Your position was you thought this actress was not so wise and not so right. In fact, you thought she was crazy and wrong, and you disagreed. I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit with you and tell you why I think that there's a little bit of wisdom in this quote. But I think you made a good case, and you made good arguments. So I credit you for that. So you told us the position, you gave us the preview. You told us why it was significant, and that worked nicely. On your first reason, you quoted the songs that most everyone in the room could relate to, Tina Turner and Nazareth, and you quoted the lyrics. And I don't know what it is about people. I guess it's guys do this worse than you do, but when they start quoting lyrics or poetry, they rush up like it's girly, or it's silly to quote poetry. Give us some time to let it sink in, okay? Because not that Nazareth or Tina Turner are particularly profound, but they kind of are in terms of some truths they're telling, and they clearly tell a truth to the adolescents that they are targeted to, and they clearly tell truths to them, and so that was good. But just slow down. Okay. Slow down for that. And so you made a good case for why the first part of the quote on does not protect you from love work. On your Sandra Bullock and Jesse James and his cheating butt and the adopted child and all that stuff, and you know, all that heartbreak and stuff, and what I was intrigued by in this quote in particular was, does Sandra have a new purpose with the boy and the love that she's giving him, and will give him and have a companion throughout her life that will in fact where the hell is it? Will protect her from the ravage and loneliness of aging. You know, I don't know. Right. Just wondering.
Right.
Just wondering. And then on your third reason, on Kim Kardashian, gosh, you know, well, you know, she's a good example for this group, not for me, but for the group. And yeah, she's gone through a lot of bodies and men and procedures, and she has a very superficial understanding of love. And I think, to quote her, as refutation wasn't that compelling to me. And I think what I would say to you is, and I think what the actress was getting at is, I don't know, are you still, you don't have to answer this as too personal. Are you still married, Sam?
I'm widowed.
You're widowed. Oh, sorry to hear that. So you're the wrong person to ask. But people that often or have you hear these people 30, 40, 50, 60, 70-year wedding anniversaries. They go into old age and they're together and they have children and grandchildren, and all of this, that love that they have, and they have their infirmaries and their breakdowns and their arthritis together, and so that to some extent protects that love that they have together, protects them from the ravages of aging.
Right. No, I see your point on that.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Your summary was perfect. Your conclusion and tieback were perfect. As usual, you did a great job. Thank you. Any more volunteers? No? Okay, time to roll the dice. What do you think? Should I let Sam pick? Oh, you're volunteering? Okay, here we go. Ooh. Ooh.
Off the charts.
Off the charts. I went too low. Kara.
Okay.
Kara, you're a Kara Lee what?
Logan.
Logan. Design Media Arts. How is that?
It's wonderful. I
Is
love
it?
my major.
Oh, cool.
Not anything like this at all.
I hate this class.
I don't hate it. I just don't do it.
Okay, good. You'll thank me someday,
I will.
Kara.
That's why I took it. It's a
Okay.
good skill.
Okay, Kara, let me find you in the great... I found you. Thank you. Give me a moment. Oh, God. Yeah. Yeah, these are all... Yeah. Yeah, all right. We're going to hear an impromptu speech from Kara on the following topic. No matter how far you have gone on the wrong road, turn back. And this is a Turkish proverb. And you're going to rock and roll with the time. She'll give you 4, 3, 2, 1. Fist means stop. Thank you. Feet wider than your shoulders for the power stance. Thank you. Oh, wait. Okay. And this is your self-evaluation? Okay. Okay, rock and roll.
Hi, my name is Kara Logan.
Hi, Kara.
Have any of you ever gotten lost?
Yes.
So lost that you're driving down the same road and you can't remember that you're lost because you kept going so far? Well, this has happened to my family many times. Not with driving, luckily, but with hiking. My sister is horrible with directions. She has been her entire life. So whenever growing up, my parents would try to give her a chance, try to let her figure out where we were going on our hikes. And it never, ever worked. And the worst part was turning around, coming back, and having to start all over again. So this is immediately what I thought of, my awful directional family, was when I heard the quote, no matter how far you've gone down the wrong road, turn back. Not only is it useful to understand in practical travel terms, but it's also useful to understand in life. There are 3 ways that I will show how this quote is important for life. The first is by example of country singer Miranda Lambert. The second is by analyzing the story of Simba in The Lion King. And the third is a personal story of a very bad decision I made in my life. Why is this important? This is important because everyone makes mistakes and everybody has those days, as Hannah Montana says, but we are all human and we all need to understand that we can turn back around. The first example of this quote that I'm going to talk about is with country singer Miranda Lambert. She is a Grammy Award-winning singer, one of the best country artists of today's time, but she doesn't have a great reputation as a person. She has been accused of being an alcoholic, of being an awful person, etc., etc. But a milestone in her career was when she performed the song, The House That Built Me. It is a story of how she went off to do her career and realizes all the bad decisions she made in her life, but then she comes home and takes a look around and realizes that that is where she's meant to be. She comes to visit the house she grew up in that was now sold and realizes that home is where she belongs. This is an important thing to understand because no matter how far you've gone down the wrong road, coming back and turning around can lead you back to where you belong, which is a place of home. The second thing I will talk about to analyze this quote is the story of Simba in The Lion King, who I hope you all know. It is an epic story of a boy who runs away after believing that he killed his father. He runs into two friends, Timon and Pumbaa, who teach him the lifestyle of Hakuna Matata, which means no worries for the rest of your days. For a young adolescent lion who just believed he killed his father, this is a very important choice in his life. He went down this road with Timon and Pumbaa to run away from his problems. But the road that he went on the road that his friends are on might not necessarily be the correct road for him. And it is important that he turns around and comes back to live his life in the kingdom that he was meant to rule. He has this realization when his female lion friend comes to find him, and Rafiki, his baboon friend, comes to find him and tell him that there are duties that he has to have back at home. It is the story of someone who has gone down the wrong path, the path that wasn't necessarily right for him, but could very well be right for Timon and Pumbaa, someone else, and he turns back around. The third and final thing that I will talk about today to analyze the quote, no matter how far you've gone down the wrong road, turn around, is with a personal story of how everybody makes mistakes, including myself. My freshman year of high school, I made a horrible mistake that led me to become the person that I am today. I was in biology, and I decided that it would be a good idea to pick up a final that was left there from the previous class. I took the final, went home, cheated, studied it, and ended up getting completely caught. Unfortunately, I was caught, but it was actually one of the best things that ever happened to me. Not only did it change my life, but I now go to UCLA, and that's the best thing that could have happened. I realized that cheating will not get me to where I need to go. I went down the wrong path. I chose the wrong road. By getting caught, I turned around. I decided it was time to take responsibility for my actions. And now, like I said, I go to the best school in the world, doing what I love. So, in summary, there are three reasons why this quote, no matter how far you've gone down the wrong road, turn around, is very important in both travel and in life. The first is by examining a country singer who turned her life around by singing the song, The House That Built Me. The second reason is by examining Simba, the lost lion who followed the wrong path with his friends Timon and Pumbaa. And the third reason is myself, who was caught cheating, realized that she had gone down the wrong path, and ended up turning around to a better path. I hope you all believe now that this Turkish proverb is important to understand and follow throughout life.
Thank you, Kara. What was the time?
6:09.
6:09. Okay, we're here. Yes, please.
Hi, Caitlin.
Hi, Caitlin.
Kara, I thought you did an awesome job. I loved, of course, you can't go wrong with a Lion King reference, but I also loved how you made it personal, the last one, something we could all relate to. I think we've all made mistakes in our lives, too. But it just came off very relatable, and you did an awesome job. Thanks.
Improvement?
Yeah, I agree.
Start with your name.
My name is Sam.
Hi, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, I have made mistakes that will fill a book, but anyway, besides that, yeah, these episodes are very personable and they are very relatable. If there is only one thing that I could find with the good delivery was perhaps you might want to kind of establish a more eye contact with me. Yeah.
Thank you, Sam. Kara, you chose and you did the quote, the Turkish quote, and I chose for you, and you attacked it vigorously. You started with, you took us out on the road of getting lost hiking. And I expected to get lost hiking in the end and somehow get tied back to that. And so we want to remember the tiebacks, and so that's something to remember. Your thesis preview was good. You told us you were going to tell us about a country star, the movie, and a personal story. So that personal story gave us some intrigue. Ooh, personal. We like personal, yeah. Significant statement. We all make mistakes. Everyone can relate to that. No one's human except, no one's perfect except Jesus. So we got that going. So that worked nicely. One thing I would say is your clothes don't fit you, and so we couldn't see your hands all the time. See?
Sorry.
So roll your sleeves up above your elbow so we can see your hands when they're gesturing. Okay. Let's talk about your stories and how well they supported your thesis and how elegantly you did that. You told us about Miranda Lambert and the alcoholic and and the badness, and she went back home and all this sort of thing, and how she then got, even though she went down the wrong road, she got on the right road. I would have liked you to have come back to the quote more and run it in right there at the end. And so even in the case of Miranda Lambert, she saw that even when she went down the wrong road, it was never too late, even for Miranda Lambert, to turn back. See, on The Lion King, good storytelling, but when you watch yourself tonight on YouTube, you're going to see that you told the story, but you kind of left the moral out for the audience and what the moral of the story was for them. So we had to kind of infer it and you left us to do the work. And I would have preferred you to do the work for your audience and to say, Simba saw and changed that even though his friends were on the road, it was never too late. And you too can, if you're on a bad road, and men in particular don't like to ask for directions, so goes the stereotype. They drive on and on and on and on and never ask for directions, so something like that. Then on your third reason, this was your best story. It was the most sticky. I would have liked some more details about it. You picked up an exam. What was the class? What was the subject? Was it biology? Yeah, okay. And you could have built it up, so I memorized it, and then how you got caught and how it turned into a positive experience and how you came back from it, because you left that all kind of vague and that you were disgraced and now somehow you're at UCLA. There's a lot of stories like that that I hear when people start telling stories of when they're writing their personal essays. I was on the admissions committee for a while, and they write their personal essays that people take many wrong paths, drugs and other things, and they get back on the right path. And so a little more detail on the story and more, again, relating it back to the quote would have been good. Very good detailed summary. Love that. Good conclusion. No tieback. Other than that, you did a very nice job. Thank you. Okay. Any more volunteers? No? Okay. Celestine. She's laughing. She's laughing at you.
I'm not.
She gets pleasures that others discomfort. She's a sadist.
This is my self-evaluation, and this is my extemp speech. Should I give it to you?
Self-evaluate? No, you keep that.
Okay.
No, we're gonna talk about when I'm gonna have a makeup session or do a special time for blah, blah, blah. Let me find you, Celestine.
I'm over here.
No, save me some time. Here?
Oh, whoa.
It's all right. The well has gone dry. Okay, Celestine.
Are you good with 4, 3, 2, 1?
Yeah.
Ooh. I have a hard decision to make. My battery is giving me a warning. Should I change the batteries? I don't want to screw you up. I better change the batteries. But let me look through this and then... Yeah, because I'm at an hour 10. I'm an hour 10 out on these batteries. I usually only get an hour, so... Where are you? There you are. Okay. Okay. I don't know why you chose these three, but, you know, you did. Okay, so we're going to hear from Celestine. She's going to do an impromptu speech on Be a Fountain, Not a Drain by Ref Hudler.
Oh, are you changing the battery? Or no?
Yes, I am. Thank you.